This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
All right, if that's where you guys want to start, that's where we'll start. Stugotz's wheels are turning because there's been news breaking throughout the Twitter sphere. I don't know what I'm allowed to say here. I don't know anything except what the crew has told me, which is that Jamel is no longer on the 6 o'clock Sports Center. I don't know what's being reported, who's reporting it, but the crew seems to have just noticed that that is a change. And so the way that we all noticed it was looking into the corner and seeing the wheels turning on Stugotz on how he can angle to get the 6 p.m. Sports Center. And all of us were thinking to ourselves, well, what's spinning in there is like, well, I need to make it ethnic. I need to make the show ethnic. So what do you think, ESPN, Norby, Chuck? Sports Center at 6 o'clock. The Sports Jew.
It's got a nice ring to it.
We all saw it. Let's go a different direction with the branding. And we all saw it happening in Stugotz's mind. Yeah. But before we go any further, we need to make a correction. As Stugotz plots to have Monday Night Football and Sports Center at 6 p.m., he still continues to make mistakes at an alarming rate. He just did so on the ESPNU pregame show. You need to correct that for us publicly on the radio. What was the mistake you just made?
Well, I was talking about LeBron James tweeted out after the fact that he wishes the All-Star Game draft would have been televised. He's the reason it wasn't televised. And I was saying the reason I wanted it to be televised was to see the reaction of Russell Westbrook when he was drafted last. That's how I said it. I need to correct that because we have no idea if Russell Westbrook was drafted last. Westbrook thinks that he was drafted last.
Woj. Let's go. Wojnarowski, you're the best in the business, best who's ever done it. Everyone loves your basketball information. Let's go. Who was drafted last? Let's report it. Or, Schefter, if you know. And you want to knock Woj's place off at the top of the kingdom. If you know, feel free to report it yourself, Schefter. We want to know who was drafted last. I like to imagine Kyrie Irving and Russell Westbrook both tumbling toward the last spot because Steph knows that he can't take Westbrook for Durant and LeBron knows he can't take Kyrie. And so I just love the idea of both of them just at the end. The two of them haven't been picked and they're staring at each other. But before we get to the Sports Jew, and before we get to Uncle Luke, father of booty music in Miami, feuding with Derek Jeter, perhaps you've noticed here on ESPN Radio that this show rattles some cages, and we weren't happy with the way that our promos were done at the beginning, and we asked the people who handle that stuff, who were doing very serious promos, you know, Dan Le Batard, Stugotz, Hall of Famer Chipper Jones joins the show. And it was very serious stuff. We didn't want it like that. But now it feels a little too messy. The way they're promoting the show is they're splicing it up. And you guys see here if you can find the error in judgment in the way that our show is being promoted here at the network.
He deserves a night. Paul Pierce. Dan, come on. Isaiah
doesn't
Thomas.
Deserve a night. I mean, Sioux Falls is about to give you a day. Paul Pierce got stabbed in that city.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Thank you, Roy. That is the appropriate look. Yes. What kind of echoing sound is that to throw at the end? What did Paul Pierce accomplish in that city? You'll hear me list his resume with the very last sentence that for some reason is echoing like a movie trailer. Paul Pierce got stabbed in that city.
It's got to echo, though, man. It's got to echo.
What kind of ending is that?
In the world of radio, that needs to echo. It does. I'm telling you,
I don't even understand what that means. Like, yes, he got stabbed in that city, but I was talking about the general allegiances to that city. I was talking about the emotional investment that fans make into their players, and it gets reduced into one bite-sized cube by ESPN that has me echoing throughout eternity saying this. Paul Pierce got stabbed in that city. What kind of way is that to end a promo?
A terrible way.
Who's responsible for this?
A heavy-handed way. An unfair way.
I mean, why are we representing our show by me just shouting Paul Pierce was stabbed in that city? Who are we representing well there? Paul Pierce got stabbed in that city.
The point I was going to make is that Isaiah Thomas played through a playoff run after the death of his sister.
That's right. That is the context of the point is Stugatz was arguing Isaiah Thomas deserves a night. His sister, he played through the death of his sister for that city. And I just blurted out in response, Paul Pierce got stabbed in that city.
Without the echoes.
Who did that?
We got to the bottom of why Russell Westbrook thought he got picked last, and it's because he saw a paper and he didn't realize that it was in alphabetical order. We have sound of him discovering.
Okay, now, so Russell Westbrook has reported that he was picked last is because he didn't realize that he was looking at something that was alphabetical and Zaza's not in the game.
See, I was the last pick on the list. I was just trying to figure out,
alphabetical. It was alphabetical.
See, I told you, man. Alphabetical order, man. Of course I was first.
Of course I was first.
Why did they not televise that? It's so strange that why would they not televise that?
I don't know, but the fact that LeBron came out after the fact and said they should have televised that, I'm guessing he's one of the reasons they did not televise that. He didn't want anyone seeing that.
No, they reported that it was because people didn't want hurt feelings, but seriously. Woj can get at this information. This is the information to get in basketball today, is it not?
Yes.
Who was taken last? Just so that we could gossip and be petty and be silly. And basketball does a great job of feeding those things. Football always wants to eradicate them. When things escalate into a fight on the field, they want to simmer all of that down.
Right.
Basketball feeds it.
But Westbrook may have gone last, Dan, because if LeBron took Durant, and he did, he took him number 1, right? So I think Steph is sitting there going, he's not going to take Westbrook. I could just take whoever I want. Westbrook's going to be available to me with the final pick because LeBron's not going to do that to KD. I wish LeBron had done that to KD, though. That would have been fun. LeBron should have done that.
First pick, Kevin Durant. Yes. Second pick, Westbrook.
Last pick had to come down to either Aldridge or Horford. Had to have.
That's speculative. I want facts. I want them before the end of the show. I want this show to gather. I want this show to become a news-breaking outfit. Did you see what we did yesterday? Somebody was named to the Hall of Fame. We called him on the phone. Chipper Jones. We did radio yesterday.
Mike, you don't think it's Kevin Love? I think Steph Curry just stuck LeBron with Kevin Love.
LeBron got stuck with a lot of awkward situations. Got the Kevin Love thing, the Kyrie thing, and also he has Westbrook on the same team as Durant. I mean, it's going to be curious how he gets that locker room settled in, GM LeBron.
Took Cousins and Anthony Davis. I told you that tweet the other day you were laughing about, right? When LeBron tweeted how good DeMarcus Cousins is, that's where he's going.
Okay, you've mentioned that a couple of times. You want to get out there with that take as fast as you can.
Yep, I'm first. It's fine.
All right, it's yours. Everybody back away. Listen to me. Aldridge, let's wave a torch like Indiana Jones in that Temple of Legless Lizards. Let's wave a torch. Hey, get out of here, Woj. Get out of here. This is Stugatz's territory. LeBron to the Pelicans.
He's taking it for a test drive over All-Star Weekend. I'm telling you, man.
So you do this thing and no one actually holds you to anything. In this last week, you said he's definitely going to Milwaukee and he's definitely going to New Orleans. Which one is it?
I'll have a couple of more before he makes his decision, and somehow I'm going to be right.
All right. Well, here's the thing, though. There's sometimes you're going to be wrong and we're going to remember it as that time that you criticized Pat Riley. Perhaps we could get that sound. This was Stugatz, and the filibustering I have to do on the front end as we look for this sound is you need to know that this was Stugatz on the radio, and this was days before the Miami Heat acquired LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade and made that their team. Days before that, Stugatz was on the radio, and Stugatz was gasbagging, and Stugatz, who takes no inventory of the times that he's been wrong. But again, days before, LeBron, Dwayne, and Bosh all ended up as members of the Miami Heat. This was Stugatz as we go back in time, nostalgically, into the Stugatz personal record books.
Has Pat Riley failed Dwayne Wade? Seriously. Has Riley and the organization, because Dan, all these other teams, all the other contenders went out and made moves, and the Heat haven't done a single thing. What have they done for Dwayne Wade? They got him Jermaine O'Neal, a broken Jermaine O'Neal. He's going to leave here, and he should leave here.
He got him the greatest free agent and teammate in the history of the NBA.
The Heat is still mad at you.
Really?
About that take. Wasn't the take longer?
Strange.
Wasn't the take even longer than
Season
that? Do you
ticket
have a
holder, a
longer?
customer,
Do you have the longer version of that?
They got him Shaq
Yeah.
and a championship.
Since then. Let's sell him on this notion of all these guys we're going to get next year. None of these guys want to come here. None of them. He's failed, Dwayne Wade. Failed the fans. Failed the city.
LeBron and Bosh. 4 straight final appearances. I nailed it. ESPN at the time, though, he was really failing Dwayne Wade. At the time, at the exact time I said it.
At that minute that you said it, you were correct.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at Progressive.com today. The NBA is on ESPN Radio. Tune in tomorrow night as Kyrie Irving and the Celtics visit Steph Curry and the Warriors. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern on most ESPN radio stations. Here's your SportsCenter update. Tiger Woods shot even par in the first round of the Farmers Open and is 7 shots behind the leader. You got something there, Dan?
Well, I'm sorry.
Yes.
No, my bad. It's just I'm
I thought
reading.
a difficult name was coming.
I'm
Well,
watching.
it is, yes.
No, I'm watching First Take, and they're talking about LeBron James asking the Cavs not to trade Kyrie Irving, and Irving threatening to have season-ending knee surgery if there was no deal. Cleveland.com is reporting that. So that's where that ended up, where LeBron is saying you can't trade Kyrie. They don't want to trade Kyrie, and says if you don't trade me, I'm going to have knee surgery. That's a good story right there.
Yeah, and you allowed me to skip over the name of the guy I can't pronounce.
Hi, this is Papi. Do you know that my TV show Highly Questionable is not only on ESPN2 every day at 4:30 Eastern, it is also available as a podcast. You can listen or subscribe to the Highly Questionable podcast on ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don Le Batard.
Deion Sanders is the best to ever do it. I think we've talked to you before briefly. I don't know how. At one point, you had gone public saying you had a sex addiction, right?
Stugats.
No.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
All right, so here's what we've got for you. Christian Yelich has been traded by the Marlins, and it is something that is yet another reminder of how many different ways baseball continues to bleep South Florida. We had the commissioner of baseball on with us, who helped orchestrate this entire sale of the Marlins that ends up with yet again a fan base for the 4th time dealing with, no, this is the fire sale that's going to fix everything.
Liar.
And Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, didn't like his interview with us on the show, and
I'm not going to be deposed.
yeah, that didn't go so well. And here the Marlins are again now trading Christian Yelich, a good contract, a cheap contract, someone who can help them 4 or 5 years from now, because Christian Yelich has one of the most baseball-friendly contracts anywhere in the sport. Christian Yelich might be the most valuable contract in the sport when you just consider how little he's being paid for what it is that he's going to give you for the next 6 or 7 years of his prime.
Your impression, like a number of them, are incorrect.
And so now, Billy, Uncle Luke, godfather of booty music in South Florida, Trick Daddy's going to be on with us later, disciple and soldier to the Uncle Luke throne here in Miami.
I own a home in South Florida.
That part was my favorite. That part was. I understand everything that's happening in South Florida. I mean, what?
I own a home in South Florida.
Tax exemption. I have an exemption in Florida.
2 hours
I
north
own a
of
home.
the
That
ballpark.
is the most disconnected thing you will ever hear. Wait a minute. I understand exactly the suffering brown people of South Florida. I own a home there.
I own a home in South
I
Florida.
I own an island there.
We do not.
So, Guillermo, what's happening with Uncle Luke, Luther Campbell now, godfather of booty music in Miami, and Derek Jeter, the new CEO of the Marlins?
Uncle Luke's not happy about what's been going on, and he just tweeted this a little while ago. I had a good friend of mine this week call me, said he spoke with Jeter, suggested that me and him talk. What the bleep am I going to talk to him about? You just blew up my team. How would that go?
It's why they make chocolate and vanilla.
There were so many amazing things about the interview, not the least of which I believe it's the first commissioner to ever publicly condone tanking. I mean, when there was tanking in basketball, what happened? The damn league stepped in and yanked Hanky out of there and put one of those Colangelos in charge, or both of the Colangelos, or all the Colangelos in charge.
Liar.
I mean, when it looked like that league was tanking, the commissioner was so insane by it that he got Hanky kicked the hell out of the sport.
No.
This commissioner's out here. Well, you know, the Astros and the Cubs tanked. It's tanking is good. Tanking is fun. Give all the players to the Yankees.
It's Hinky. Fun.
What did I make?
I mean, you keep calling him Hanky, like he's a handkerchief or something.
Hanky. Is that a fine?
It's Hinky.
Yeah.
Sam Hinky. Not Sam Hanky.
All right. I'll pay the $1 fine.
You're racking him up today, boy.
But let's think about this for a second. Look at this. I can pay for the Marlins outfield this year with all the fines I've put up here.
Incorrect.
Right here. Seriously. Think about what basketball did. A commissioner, it's a little bit frustrating, actually, that people get distracted by the noise and not what's happening here. They get distracted by me having an argumentative interview with the power in the sport.
You want to ask me questions, I'll answer them the way that I want to answer them.
And the thing that ends up happening is, again, the Marlins are sitting here in a situation where they're trading one of their last popular players because, A, they've made it an untenable situation for him where he doesn't want to be here under any circumstances. And then, B, on top of that, they're selling it to you with the idea that not even the good contracts, not even the contracts that are favorable to the team, we do not care. We're getting rid of everybody and we're scrapping it. And I just don't understand how you expect to make customers that way.
It's why they make chocolate and vanilla.
They don't expect to make customers that way. They don't, Dan. I'm telling you, they don't. It's about making money, and they think they're going to be good in 4 years.
All right, bye.
But what I'm saying to you is, if you're going to be good in 4 years, Christian Yelich is exactly the kind of contract that you need to hang on to, because it's everything you're saying about how you want to run that business. Good players had cheap. Fine. Find the best players and get them for value. If that's the way that you're going to run the business, that's positive for everybody in South Florida. But Yelich is supposed to be a part of that. He's not supposed to be someone who gets discarded in that. There are, in some ways, this is more offensive than trading Giancarlo Stanton. Because
no,
it is.
It is.
No.
It is. It's more offensive. It's more offensive than trading the MVP of the league. Whoa. Oh,
now you back off.
Whoa. You know what? I
Yes.
changed my mind. Never mind. Everything I said, I take it back.
Time for Dan to reluctantly take part in something Stugatz couldn't be happier doing.
It's the most intimidating no in the history of no's, isn't
Well,
it?
people think it's Liam Neeson, but it's not. It's actually just ESPN management.
No.
Back away from the Manfred.
It's Liam Chapman.
No.
Right. It's not Liam Neeson of Taken. It's Liam who babysits this show, and anytime we get near the commissioner, starts shaking and trying to distract us with fire and shiny things.
No.
That's just ESPN management. Back away from Manfred.
Liar.
Dan Lebatard.
What's the stat, by the way? It sounds like a dumb one.
Box plus minus.
Yep. How about rings plus minus?
I mean, okay.
6 for MJ, 3 for LeBron.
Stugatz.
Put LeBron's rings in a box and then put MJ's rings in a box and tell me who has more. How's that sound? It's plus 3, by the way.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Stugatz, what were you showing me there during the break about the NFL and declining ratings?
They have to, I'm reading this from Awful Announcing. The NFL will be handing out more make goods to advertisers as declining ratings led to a $300 million decrease in ad revenue. So they got to give up. They're just going to give you make goods. They're going to give you some free spots here, free spots there. It's amazing that the NFL has arrived at this place. When I ran a local radio station down here in Miami, we had to do stuff like that for our advertising. The fact that they have to do it is amazing.
I don't think the NFL is in trouble, but I think all of the things happening around the NFL are giving off that appearance. One of the things that was disappointing about yesterday is I really did think the XFL was going to come in and make a splash by being a little bit rebellious.
Splash.
And instead they went the other way. Vince McMahon, it felt disappointing. Vince McMahon, as an anarchist and as a guy who knows how to appeal to young people, it may be Vince McMahon's greatest strength, knows how to appeal to young people. He went the other way. He went the opposite of what young people would want. Never mind about the social dynamics or the cultural dynamics. Never mind whether he's going for Trump followers or not. He just went opposite young people, and it was disappointing to see Vince McMahon become your grandfather.
But he went to what football fans want. Football fans want this.
Do they?
This is rebellious to you. Stand up for an anthem.
Mike, no. At the end, though, they want the product on the field to be entertaining and good.
Wait, yes, but you think football fans want what Vince McMahon was selling yesterday?
Yes. I know plenty of conservatives and football fans, and they were amped about it yesterday.
Wait. Because Vince McMahon, we have sound here saying that this has nothing to do with politics or social issues, that the XFL will just require that everyone stands for the anthem. That was one of the selling points. But here's Vince McMahon in his own words.
I have no idea whether or not President Trump will support this, and this is an opportunity for me to say that as far as our league is concerned, it'll have nothing to do with politics. Absolutely nothing, and nothing to do with social issues either. We're there to play football. We want really good football, and I think that's what fans want as well. When they tune in, I don't know that they want to be dealing with political issues and things of that nature. They want good football. That's what we're going to deliver.
His wife works under the Trump administration.
Okay, but hold on a second. Let's hear this other sound here where Vince McMahon is saying that what matters is the quality of the person. Like, who is this person? Who is this Vince McMahon? He has come out now. Does he think we forgot about how he was trying to sell the XFL? He's now coming with the exact opposite blueprint of how he was selling the XFL.
Right. That XFL failed miserably and lost him $35 million and lost NBC $35 million. He's going the other way because he wants to build a successful business.
No, but how about go somewhere in between? Because he was on to something, and he's taking more time to plan it out. Go somewhere between the NFL and what the XFL was.
The NFL is in between where he's at and where the old XFL was.
Mike.
This is a genius move on his part, and it's irrefutable. Football fans don't want politics with their sport.
Understood, but once you say everyone will stand for our anthem, you've brought politics into your sport.
Yes, you have.
Like, you can say all you want about we're not going to be about politics. If one of your selling points is everyone here, listen up. In our league, all the black people are standing. That's what he gave you yesterday.
Yeah, and I think your reaction, if you're hearing it for the first time, you might be jarred by that, but you realize that's what the NBA does. The NBA makes their players stand. Mm-hmm. No one's kneeling in the NBA.
Correct. That is correct.
Predominantly black athletes.
That is
correct. You don't hear a peep.
That is correct. Vince McMahon, I don't think anyone, maybe I'm wrong about this. What am I missing here? Because I don't think many people have the opinion Mike Ryan has that this was brilliant, what Vince McMahon did. Guillermo, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. What Vince McMahon did yesterday, brilliant or disappointing?
Oh, disappointing. It wasn't what I was expecting. I don't think, Mike, there's no way that's what you were expecting. We were talking about it on the air yesterday. You weren't expecting that.
No, I know Vince McMahon's politics, and I know that there's a wide lane here for someone to cater to the disenfranchised football fan that's just watching football to watch a damn game. I thought he was going to go this way. Now, as far as the safety and the no DUIs and the character of the person, I mean, he turned that volume all the way up.
Well, let's
to
play that sound. See, this is another thing. This is the language. This is the language. Back before, Vince McMahon used to run with the delinquents, the anarchists. He was anti-establishment. Now, Vince McMahon is saying, nope, I'm establishment.
What about the players? As you know, there's a wealth of talented players that we can draw from, but in the XFL, the quality of the human being is going to be as important as the quality of the player.
Why?
Wait a minute. Come on, you steroid freak. Come on. I mean, really, Vince, you're going to be the moral compass now for the players that we get to watch.
You know how crushing that must have been to Johnny Manziel, who was tweeting at McMahon and the XFL the entire day, and now he's like, man, I can't even play in this guy's league.
You could sell anything. You're a great salesman. You're a great businessman, but you cannot sell me you as a moral authority. No. Vince McMahon can sell anyone to anything, but Vince gets to decide who the players are who have character? Nope, not willing to give you that power. Wrestling guru who's turned yourself into a titan, shooting your face with steroids. No, sir.
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Really? We're going to say that Vince McMahon looks like that naturally at 70?
Have you not paid attention to TMZ lately, dude? You may want to pull the pedal off just a little bit.
Yep.
On what?
On the whole steroid thing.
Vince McMahon? Wait a minute. Put it on the poll, please, at LeBatard Show. Gun to your head. Vince McMahon, steroids, yes or no?
You're not going to learn.
It's just a guess.
I'd say no.
Just a reasonable guess.
No.
You want more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats? Tune in, starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Hi, everyone. Stugats here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, STUGOTZ, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Dan Le Batard.
That was Will Smith's magic wand for a long time. Just get a bunch of things on the screen that people will notice, and I could just be among them. Hell, that's my trick, too. I surround myself with funny-looking and funny-acting people so that people won't notice that I'm kind of dry by comparison. Like all of you weirdos. Like, that's what I do. I'm surrounded by orcs. I'm sitting here blaming Will Smith, and all I'm doing is seeing him right in the mirror.
Stugats.
I'm jealous now of Will Smith because he did it so much better. I'm just sitting here with you and my dad.
I'm your orc.
My dad and a troll.
That's pretty good.
That was good. I mean, I finger pointed him. I've arrived at a point where I'm celebrating jokes against me.
Yes, I just called you a troll, and Stugats saluted me by pointing one of his sausage fingers at me.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We've been talking for a couple of days about this unsettling, problematic, disturbing thing happening at Michigan State, where a doctor who was working with gymnasts, an adult entrusted with the care of children, was committing sexual crimes on upwards of 160 girls, and he has now been sentenced to between 40 and 145 years. And the judge, in her own words, says that she has sentenced this man, Larry Nassar, to his death.
It is my honor and privilege to sentence you because, sir, you do not deserve to walk outside of a prison ever again. You have done nothing to control those urges, and anywhere you walk, destruction will occur to those most vulnerable. I just signed your death warrant.
So she signs his death warrant, and yesterday we were talking about this is obviously very uncomfortable subject matter, all of it, and I want to be clear on the front end. I feel like there's a consensus. We can all agree. In a time when we can't agree on much of anything, we can all agree these are horrible crimes that must be punished and cannot be tolerated. Period. We don't have to have nuance after that. They can't, we have to. The chief thing here is you have to keep that doctor away from kids. You have to keep the person with those impulses by any means necessary away from the kids. And that's period. Period. It's not comma. It's period. The conversation I want to have after that, though, that I think is interesting. You guys agree with me, correct? You agree with me that the punishment on these crimes, sending a pedophile to jail, that is the worst thing that we could do to the pedophile, correct? I mean, that killing the pedophile might be more humane than putting the pedophile in jail.
I guess. I mean, the pedophile, I'm guessing, would rather be killed than be put in prison.
And so what I want to ask you about this conversation, and I know it's uncomfortable, but it's a part of if the worst way to handle this is the best way that we've figured out to handle it, is that the right way? the worst thing you could do, if this is someone with a mental illness, if you believe that pedophilia is urges that can't be controlled, you must control them, you must govern them, and even if throwing them in a dirty, rotten hell or jail is the answer, that's the way to go. But is there not a better way to handle this? It's my question. Do you think there's a better way? Because I don't want to imagine either the idea of mental illness being treated gently as there are victims. When the victims and their hurt trumps all on this. But what I continue to ask you is, the way that we're handling pedophilia, where we do To Catch a Predator and we throw these people in jail, and I understand why you would think these people deserve no mercy. They're committing the worst crimes imaginable, and if you believe that they deserve punishment throughout eternity, I will not dispute it with you.
Right. It's kind of like eye for an eye, right? Like, I'm certain the parents, I know as a parent, I would say, hey, go experience what my daughter just experienced.
That's fine.
What you did to my daughter, now you go experience
so what I want to ask you guys is this. Okay, and that's fair. If that's what justice feels like to you, I get it. I totally understand it. And let justice be rage-based like that and unforgiving. I get that.
Dan, it's really hard, right, to say what justice feels like to you unless it happens to you, right?
I know, but what I am saying is that if this is indeed a mental illness, and I don't know what it is, okay, I don't understand these sexual proclivities. I can't possibly understand what it's like to be attracted to a child. But if you're attracted to a child and you somehow cannot control those urges, even though all the laws in our country are going to make it so punitive that your life and your freedom will be a hell for the rest of your living days, and that's somehow not enough of a deterrent, that seems to be working some, but child porn and pedophilia, it seems to be a booming business. So we're not actually solving this by throwing it in a dirty quarter in jail. We're just putting it somewhere where we can't see it. And so that's the questions I'm asking you guys.
Well, you are solving it to a degree because that's one less you have to worry about.
I understand, but the nature of whatever this is.
But Mike, is it preventing anyone else from doing it?
Is it working? Like, I understand that this is how we're handling it.
But with Larry Nassar, like a serial offender like that, what, you want to send him to a mental health facility?
Dan's asking what I think is a fair and legitimate question. I'm perfectly fine with how we're doing it right now.
No, I understand.
I think most people are. Yeah. I think most people believe, look, the chief priority, and you'd be right, is keep this away from the schoolyards. It just needs, even if it needs to be caged, if it needs to be buried under the sea in the ground, keep this away from the schoolyards. That has to be the priority.
You're presenting an interesting discussion. Like, okay, I guess if someone who were informed on the topic would tell me the positives in sending someone to a mental health facility for that duration, fine. But what's the end game? It's not like we're going to release this person back into
that. Doesn't feel like justice. That doesn't feel anything like justice. It feels like treating the criminals like victims. But what I'm asking you about whatever this thing is that I don't understand, like there's so many of you right now in our audience, and I ask you, please understand pedophilia. You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, how am I supposed to understand that? Damaging a child, like a child like that. How, in what world can I understand that? And yet still, this guy risks with 160 plus girls. This guy risks, if you get caught one time, your life is going to be an unspeakable hell for the rest of eternity. He didn't risk it one time. He risked it more than 150. What is happening in that person's head?
You're asking people to consider a guy knows what potentially will happen to him if he gets caught, yet he can't control the urge to do it. You're asking people to open their minds to that?
The consequences are so extreme on committing this particular crime. How is it possible that you would commit it 150 plus times? Like, how, when you know that if they throw you in prison, you are going to be ravaged for the rest of the time? Who understands that?
There's an important discussion to be had here. I just think people can't get over separating the discussion that you want to have from this specific monster.
I know, but what I'm saying is, as it feels like justice, yes, this monster needs to be locked away. What I am telling you is, if you told me right now that Nassar was sentenced to death immediately and we would watch it, I would say, yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. What he's done is so horrible that there will be, I guess, some release or relief in seeing him suffer too.
But you're just wondering, is there a better way than just simply throwing him into general population?
Is it the best way? This is all I'm asking you. I am not asking you to understand pedophilia. I'm just simply asking you, the way we're doing this, do you think it's the best way? It's really a yes or no question. Because do you think it's the best way? Because it doesn't seem like it from where I'm standing, but I don't have a better one. And so the answer is throw it in jail and lock it away. The answer is throw whatever that menace is in jail and lock it away.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. That's the best we got.
Awkward transition.
Oh, so awkward.
Time for some ads.
Mike, did you take a deep breath there?
So awkward. So awkward.
I guess it's not flowers this time.
Yeah, well, that's progress. That's progress. You cannot transition from this subject matter into live ads, and I don't care if you had an orchestra to it in the background.
You could stop covering it.
Okay, I could stop covering it, but it did just swallow the chancellor of a university. Like, that's not newsworthy?
Listen, I'm a caveman, but you've opened my mind to a lot of things. I'm not saying you opened my mind to this one. It's a perfectly fair and legitimate question to ask in a conversation.
No, I know people don't like it because I know they end up feeling like I'm somehow defending the indefensible.
Well, you're not.
I'm just trying to understand, hey, is this the best way for us to do this? That's it. Like, you think are we fixing it? Are we solving it? Like, yes.
But I think for the parents, sending the person to a mental facility feels like, wow.
Agreed.
They got off easy,
I know.
man. Look what happened to my daughter.
Agreed. I understand, but you are not. I
want maximum pain.
You do realize that. I know. Yes, I know you want maximum pain, but we are trying. If you believe my hypothesis that this might be mental illness in here somewhere, like if you believe that, what you do by placing that in rehab is I know that doesn't feel like justice, but you get something closer to, you have cancer that's widespread. Here's how I'm going to cure the cancer. I'm going to take this one tumor and lock it away in jail. I'm not actually curing cancer. I'm just removing one bit of cancer that's not going to be able to get to the schoolyard. Okay, again with this. I don't know how to get out of this subject. All right, formal wear.
Back in.
All right, the black tux people.
Should the Dolphins pay Jarvis Landry? Is he worth that deal? Do you pay him like a number one? We'll discuss next.
Don Le Batard.
Texter writes in, Stugatz looks homeless today. If I saw him walking down Ocean Drive, I would give him $5.
Stugatz.
Thank you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Trick Daddy is blowing through here at some point before 1 o'clock Eastern. Stugatz's favorite magician.
Oh, he's great. He's coming in studio?
Yeah, he is coming in studio.
Oh, wow, a few magic tricks live.
Yes, he's gonna be here in just a few minutes.
Pull that rabbit out of his hat.
I want to show people behind the scenes something that was happening here today because the audience is going to like this. The stuff that happens behind the scenes is more interesting than the stuff that happens in front of the cameras. Mike Ryan has a very difficult part of his job, which is just sort of managing this flying saucer of BS, while, the ESPN management gets uncomfortable with a variety of different things that we do that is not suit friendly.
Is that us, me, you?
It's just, it's the whole thing. The whole thing is a Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is this a flying saucer of BS? And so it's an unwieldy thing, and it's hard. No, and it's hard to manage. It's hard to fly, and he's always like bumping into executives, and he's always trying to stop us from nonsense. So I just got this lecture again about corporate social responsibility and Vince McMahon and steroid use.
CSR.
Yeah, I just got a big speech, but in the middle of it, I was distracted because, and this is amazing about what happens around here, no one was listening to Stugatz. Stugatz was angrily thrusting a sausage finger toward your room, yelling, hey, Dick Vitale owes me a bleeping apology. I want him to come on the air, and I need him to come on the air and apologize to me personally in front of people. He's yelling and screaming while Mike's giving me a lecture about how I can't accuse Vince McMahon of steroid use. And this is what I'm telling you. I will quit the industry right now. I will leave my career behind forever. If Vince McMahon is not somebody I can say, look, come on, just look at him. Just look at him. I will leave behind all journalistic responsibility forever if I have to work in a media world where I can't say Vince McMahon, look at him, he's a steroid freak using steroids in his face.
And I'm going to quit if Dick Vitale does not come on this radio program and apologize to me.
What is your problem?
It's been long overdue. Let's go, Dickie V.
What is your problem?
He came on after the whole scandal, and he said everyone should resign. They should shut down the entire basketball program and the football program, the athletic program. The president should walk away, should step down. And then something happens to UConn and Louisville, and he defends Rick Pitino at Louisville, says he should get another job. Now he's defending UConn. I told Dick that all these schools, whether they know it or not, because there are so many bogus rules, they all commit NCAA infractions. And I was right, because since he came on the radio and hung up on you, just about every school has gotten into some sort of trouble. Every coach and every university has committed some sort of NCAA infraction at some point, and some get caught and some don't. And that's it.
Oh, that's being very generic. I think you're being unfair. And if they've committed an infraction, they're not bringing prostitutes.
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
Come on, now you're being ridiculous now.
Dick.
I don't want to waste my time. Are you serious? You're saying every coach? That is not valid. Yeah, if a guy breaks a rule, nobody be on Miami's case if they broke a rule where they were on a phone with a kid an hour more than they were supposed to, or something else. Come on, I'm not going to waste my time, Dan. Forget it.
Well, you said, you asked me the question.
He still thinks it's me, right? He still thinks it was me that upset him.
I sure hope so.
Hey, Stugotz was right? Holy Stugotz was right.
Not just right. Buried Dickie V. Dickie V's like, what do you mean? Every school is doing prostitutes? No, get out of here with that. Yeah, Louisville was actually doing prostitutes.
Technically, he still thinks it's you. He owes you an apology.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Pitino actually had the prostitution scandal in that. That is history proving Stugotz right, where Dickie V's objecting to, come on, not all schools have prostitutes. And no, Ricky Pitino kind of had prostitutes.
I just want an apology because I know Dick Vitale. No one is more hurt by the state of college basketball than Dick Vitale. You can hear it in his voice. He is
crushed.
Look
at Guillermo.
But I just want an apology.
Wait, I am not going to be fined for calling him Ricky Pitino. No, Ricky Pitino. No, calling him Ricky Pitino is funny around prostitution.
You
call him, yes, it rhymes with Tricky and Nicky and Dicky. Yes,
Ricky V, and then you change it to Ricky Pitino.
Ricky Pitino, little Ricky Pitino was around the prostitutes. Prove it,
Ricky.
Prove it. Prove it that I wasn't trying to do it my way.
Where you going, Ricky V?
I was not going Ricky V. I was going Ricky Pitino. Look, man, what's better to have around a prostitution scandal than old Ricky P? Huh? Some guy named Ricky P.
Don Le Batard.
Kids, listen to me. Every day somebody comes up to me, doctors, lawyers, college students. What do I need to do what you're doing? And the answer to that is hire your father and a troll.
Stugotz.
You literally just told a couple of kids that. I'm not joking.
Yes, I just told a couple of kids that in the hallway. I just realized this is a moment of huge self-loathing because I'm sitting here ripping Will Smith because he's done all of this so much better than I have. He's Will Smith. Look at me, conquering AM radio. It's not exactly the future like Netflix. Will Smith is in bed with an orc and Netflix, and I'm here fighting Rob Manfred with a troll.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
New single, Paradise. That's it right there. Out right now if you want more Trick Daddy in your life. He is very Miami. We're very excited to have him around here. And I guess I will start the questioning here because I believe Trick Daddy is responsible for the single greatest story ever told on this show. For those of you who do not know that story, we don't have to tell the whole thing again, but Trick, why don't you tell the people about your wedding, if you don't mind, if you don't.
Man, unfortunately, and we doing right now, we're in the first season of Love and Hip Hop Miami, right? So they was trying to get footage of that. So I'm going to try to give it to him for season 2.
Of the wedding, of the famous wedding story. Okay,
really.
Well, tell the people who don't know. I mean, the people in Miami know this story.
Well, the wedding went fine. Of course, I was handsome. I had 12 best men, a beautiful bride, and then came the reception. Well, my friends out of Liberty City, Goose, Richmond Heights, Perrine, Overtown, got into a major, major war with the cooks, the caterers, and the event planners.
Was it a war that preceded the wedding?
Before we could even eat, there was bottles, chairs, fish.
Then
came
fish was thrown.
Fish and lobster.
Lobster was thrown. Mac and cheese was thrown.
Collard green.
It was being
Neck
thrown.
bones.
It was being
not eaten. It was being thrown.
Did any of it get on the bride? Did anyone?
She was crying. I felt so sorry for her. And then I heard helicopters, and I saw police dogs.
Okay.
And so I went from my wedding reception to the county to bond some people out.
And then, no, wait a minute. Yes, you went to the town.
Where you went after that.
No. Where'd you go after that? You had your wedding night dinner.
I went to the strip club.
Yes. Your wedding night.
Yes. I went to the strip club.
Yes.
I think the strip club is a very important part of Miami.
Yeah. Great food, too.
Yeah, great food. Yeah. Well, they said that, from my understanding, because I haven't been there since they jumped on I got my head jumped on at Tootsie's, but Tootsie's is supposed to be the #1 strip club in the world.
Wait a minute. Who jumped your head in a Tootsie's?
Oh man, it was a
I don't know the
situation.
story.
Nah, it was a situation with some big muscle brown UFC Russian dudes caught me upstairs and we got an altercation, and when I turned my back, he put me in a poker bean dream.
Wait a minute. He put you in a move?
He put me in a move.
Hold on. A Russian UFC guy? It's not the heavyweight champion. Is it from Cleveland?
I need to see a picture of him.
Okay, let's show Trick some pictures to see if he can figure out who it is that choked him out in the strip club.
It's not Stipe, well, because he's American.
That's right.
Obviously.
He's Cleveland. I made him a Russian from Cleveland. That's what I did.
When I called the police, they was like, either you get up and leave or we taking you to jail. So I said, I can't move my back.
What was the move that he put you in? What was it?
We call it the poker bean dream.
I know, I heard that already, but I don't know what that means.
When he put his hand under your arm and around your neck at the same time, and bend you over his back until he flip you on your stomach.
So a UFC guy did this. This is not allowed. You cannot do this to Trick Daddy in Miami. There are consequences.
And I love Tootsies. I love Tootsies. I didn't even try to sue him because when I told my lawyer what happened, he was like, "Well, we can't figure out who owned the place." So I say we're gonna leave that alone.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Yeah,
we're gonna move on. I know what that means.
I don't want no problems.
That's right. The polka
I don't know them, and they know me.
Right. That's
you don't want that kind of problem.
You're right.
I don't want no
very
smoke.
Miami. Yes. All right, hold on a second. I want everything to slow down here because Trick Daddy is with us in studio. You lived with Edgerrin James during his rookie season. Is Edgerrin James not a strip club entrepreneur now?
Edgerrin James has one of the nicest strip clubs in Miami. It's formerly known as Take One. It's called The One. And I'm working on a theme song for the club right now. I'm working on getting producers to do it. You know, and EJ is one. And I'm so mad that they haven't put him on that ballot yet. We ain't gonna get, cause I don't want to talk about that because I went to the Hall of Fame when Warren Sapp got inducted, and if to know Edgerrin James, and I'm sure you guys know him and y'all followed him from high school to college to the pros.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
He's a very, very humble guy. Mm-hmm. Very humble guy.
But people believe him to be a Hall of Famer, right? Is that the guy? Is it Arlovsky? Is it
he might be a little bigger than him.
All right, a little
I
bigger
think it's
than
his
Arlovsky.
big brother.
Bigger than that guy?
All right, we've got a picture of Arlovsky there.
Everybody, it was so.
Trick, what happened before that? Why'd the UFC guy put you in that polka dot thing?
So we in the VIP room
Stop
upstairs.
calling it polka dot. It's poker bean.
And that's a fun.
The poker bean is the poker bean thing. The poker bean dream. We upstairs in the VIP, and we paid to get in the VIP room, but we didn't know it was a time thing.
Right.
So I'm at the Poker Bean Projects. I'm not giving you $1,500 every 30 minutes. And we got an argument about that, and Days Security don't play. If you plan on going to Tootsie's and thinking you run that place.
All right, you got taken out by Russia. Okay, I got it now.
Yeah, you think you run Tootsie's.
Scored it out, yeah.
Try somewhere else. Don't go to Tootsie's.
I'm sorry. I missed the whole polka beans thing because I had it being an MMA move that was a polka dot dream move that they put you to sleep with. That's what I had him calling.
But Trick is right, man. It's the oldest strip club trick in the book, right? No pun intended, where it's a half hour and she's talking for 20 minutes and it's $1,500 and they come knocking on the door for another $1,500. Listen, I heard about this from a friend. I have no idea.
Know.
That's what my friends tell me.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's not a good thing now. So now I'm afraid to get dancers.
Oh, that's not a good place.
I get the girls dancing because for some reason women won't eat that top or that bottom bread. but they have no problem doing nothing else with another woman.
Okay, I think that's gone off the rails on us. We will try and steer it back to the rails. Trick Daddy with us on ESPN Radio. This is the danger of keeping Trick around here. I'm curious. I wanted to go down this path with you. The Marlins, are you mad at them as someone who cares about Miami?
I was looking for a word big enough because I know 3 languages. I know English, profanity, and I know Poppy Spanish.
Okay, you know my father's Spanish.
Yeah. I know jungle use, strawberry pineapple, pickle egg. I know.
Okay, the accented Spanglish.
Right,
yes.
the Spanglish. And I was trying to think of a word to use for the Marlins organization that I could use on this radio show, and I couldn't think of a big enough word.
Okay, and profanity's off the table.
That's off the table. I was already briefed twice about the profanity, and it's hard for me not to curse because it's so natural to me.
Well, thank you. And for avoiding all the bread analogies, we appreciate that too. The top and the bottom of the bread. We appreciate you avoiding all of that for us.
But I'd never seen somebody so. After our first World Series, I remember I was just getting out of the pen. And 96, 97, I'm not sure. And they traded the players.
The bullpen trick?
Yes.
Okay.
You were just getting out of the bullpen.
The bullpen, yeah. And then when we won the second World Series, they traded the good players.
I mean, you got it. Yeah.
And then we built a nice stadium, and I went to the stadium, and I was
nice.
I was in the owners club level. Up there hanging out with a few of my rich friends, Jeremy Shockey, and
of course,
you know,
of course, it's Jeremy Shockey,
and it's beautiful. You can eat in the bathroom,
right?
So Taco Bell would be it'll be perfect if they put a Taco Bell, because you have to eat Taco Bell in the bathroom. So they need to put a Taco Bell in the Marlins Stadium because that's how clean their bathrooms is.
Okay, hold on a second. I do believe that is the best of the gourmet dining experiences if you can describe a place as you could eat in the bathroom.
Beautiful. I'm talking about beautiful. Yes. And they built the stadium, and everything about the stadium is classy. I could say one of the most beautiful sites I ever been to, not just in Miami.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
They built it so that this crud would stop happening.
And then they sell the team to some people.
That's right.
Who obviously have no business mind.
Some bums, right, Trick Daddy? Bums.
Some L7s. You know, we call them squares, L7s.
Exactly.
And now they're getting rid of the players for what purpose? We was a pitcher or two away. We lost a great player with the Bowling accident, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Rest in peace, you know what I'm saying? My condolences goes to the family and all. That hurt me, you know what I'm saying? Because there's already a lack of baseball programs in the inner city as well as Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, where we don't really get the experience to learn the baseball, that good guaranteed money. So now we get to the point where we begin to love this sport.
Good guaranteed money. I like the football money.
We get to the point where we begin to love this sport. We begin to learn all the rules. I was getting ready to do the first pitch, and I was going to do better than 50 Cent.
That would not be hard.
It was going to be straight down the pipe.
There it is, and they took it away from you.
And when every day when I watch Sports Center, I don't believe last night.
Again.
Yelich
again.
Yep.
Every night there's something on Sports Center. They're taking away somebody else.
And they want to take our statue, Trick.
They want to take the statue?
Yeah, man. Jeter wants to get rid of the home run statue.
Gross, Trick, though. The statue's no good.
No, Trick likes the statue.
No, Trick
I'm not crazy about the shark.
No, get it all out of here. Get it all
Trick
out of here.
No. The statue, no. You can't let Jeter win anything else here. The statue needs to stay. You might not like it, but that statue is Miami.
They should have pulled a blockage on Jeter. Major League Baseball should have pulled one of those blockages where they stopped the basketball team from getting Chris Paul and all of them there.
Right.
They should have said, no, you should be able to, you should have to have some knowledge of business and sport. And I didn't say business, I said business.
You did say business.
Because this is business, because when you're affecting the sport and the people, now it's become business. It's personal now. You should have to pass some type of qualification before you can own a professional Major League Baseball team.
Right.
All right, he's hot.
No, he's right. I mean, your name shouldn't just be Derek Jeter and you get a baseball team.
We already made a fool of ourselves, and I can say me too because I let the dude. I'm not gonna give him no pride. I let the dude become our president, and I can say me too because I'm a convicted felon and I can't vote. So I'm responsible for this too. Mm-hmm. Then you have some ignorant people who say, "Oh, I wrote in this and I wrote in there and I didn't vote." But shut up, stop complaining.
Trick Daddy with a political screed.
And
at the end of his
I
appearance.
remember the big the car salesman dude with all the money. Brayman tried to stop this.
He did try to stop it.
He did.
He tried to stop this, and everybody was looking at him like he was crazy.
Tell him, Trick Daddy.
Mm-hmm. No, he's right about that. He's right about that. Brayman was trying to fight. Trick, last thing before we let you go. Again, new single Paradise is out now.
Me and Trina got an album coming out together called TNT.
All right.
The new single is featuring the newest slip and slide artist. Excuse me.
You all right there?
That's okay.
You okay?
Mike Smith, the next hot sensation.
It's a fun.
And go watch Love and Hip Hop every Monday at 9 o'clock. Love and Hip Hop Miami. And I'm a big fan of the show, man.
We're going to meet Poppy now. We're going to go out there.
And we love Poppy. We're going to bring Poppy to the hood.
We got a break here, though. The most that Trick Daddy has ever wagered on a inner city football game involving kids is
$30,000.
Oh! Cash more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPNU.
Dan Le Batard. He is now eating it out of my hand like a grazing animal of some sort. Oh, he is showing love. Oh, eat the picture. Yes.
Swallow.
No, he's not going to swallow that.
Stugats.
What just happened there?
I finished.
You just threw out a slobbered piece of my face on the floor.
That was just a slobbered piece. Back in.
I got a weak stomach, man.
Tear me off half of that, Stu. I want to get involved.
Oh, no.
There's no way you can do
kidding.
it. The fact that you're holding it.
I think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. If he eats that piece of
I already ate the piece of paper.
If he eats I will vomit.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Stugats is still agitated with Dick Vitale. We'll get to that in a second because he's yelling at his computer screen, ripping the beloved and sacred mascot for ESPN, Dick Vitale.
Can I just say this real quick? I love Dick Vitale. I really do. I love him. He's the voice of college basketball, at least for my generation. He is the voice of college basketball. I love him. He's entertaining, and I know how much the news at Louisville and other places have hurt Dick Vitale because no one loves the sport of college basketball more than Dick Vitale. But what he's doing and how wildly inconsistent he is being and how naive he is about what Rick Pitino did at Louisville is disturbing to me. That's all I'm going to say. It's just a little bit like I feel bad for him.
He did come after the University of Miami very hard, calling for the eradication of the program because of a Yahoo report that gratuitously threw in prostitutes in Miami as if that means something. That's Tuesday morning in Miami. But they threw prostitutes and abortions in their story, and Dick Vitale he called for the eradication of the University of Miami program based on prostitution scandals. And Shalala, he called for the resignation of the president as well.
And what I'm upset about is he did that, and since the Pitino news came out, it's been really weird. But last night, he's at Prime 112. He's in town. He's taking pictures. He's eating dinner with Rick Pitino. He just said, Dan, it's a great point. He said, Miami, everyone step down for doing exactly what Rick Pitino did at Louisville, and yet he's out for dinner at Prime 112 taking pictures with Pitino and splashing him all over social media.
Mike, help me out with this because we have some tensions inside the building at ESPN where we have some feuds. People do not like us, don't like anything we're doing here. So I'd like to get into how it is to discuss some of these things because Stugats is getting agitated by one of the sacred cows that ESPN has. ESPN only has a couple of them. It's Lee Corso and Dick Vitale in terms of just sacred cows. You do not criticize, maybe Chris Berman, but you do not criticize. So we'll get to that in a second. Chris Sims, top quarterback list here is unending. It allegedly will end in 40 or 50 days, but we are at number 38. Right now, he says Blake Bortles is the 70th ranked quarterback in the world, and 45 is Blaine Gabbert, 44 is Drew Stanton, 43 is Matt Moore, 42 is Trevor Siemian, 41 is Ryan Fitzpatrick, 40 is Mike Glennon, The only real quibble I have here is Derek Anderson ahead of Mike Glennon, 39. I really thought that should have been reversed. And I'm really kind of agitated about it. I really felt like Derek Anderson should have been number 40 and Mike Glennon should have been number 39. But regardless, here we go. Let's see if there's more outrage to be had here. Chris Sims is 38th best quarterback in the world. Is?
Eli Manning, New York Giants.
Woo! Wow. That is low. Eli Manning, you have wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You have Eli Manning being only one spot better than Derek Anderson as a quarterback?
Yes, I do. Yes, in year 14 of his career for a 3-13 football team. Sorry, yes, that is just the facts of nature right now. Yes, the Eli Manning, they got benched because his offense didn't score touchdowns the 2 games previous to that. I don't sit here and again, I'm not trying to, make a name for myself, but I made the list realistically, and that's where I came up with. And yes, I mean, at this point
it's the Eli Manning list. We're pivoting. We're pivoting. It's not the Blake Bortles list anymore. Yes, we're pivoting.
One could say, Chris, this is more controversial than putting Bortles at number 70.
The Eli Manning list, Blake Bortles list is something of our past now. Right now, we're all about, we are pimping out the Eli Manning list. That is crazy what you just said. Why didn't you just reverse it and make Eli Manning 39, and then you could have said Derek Anderson is 38, and boom.
Well, you don't know who 37 is.
I don't know, but this is unbelievable what he's just said. It's shocking. Shocking.
Yes, well, again, at this point of his career, lack of mobility, lack of wins, certainly, lack of arm strength. Yes, I do think there's a handful of backup quarterbacks in football that are better than Eli Manning is at this point of his career.
Soundbite! Give it! Hold on! Yes! Soundbite! Boom! Eat that up, Sports Media America! Put that in your tabloids! Chris Sims, son of beloved champion Phil Sims, says that Eli Manning is stinky.
See, this is where I was like, I'm not even going to lie, I was scared because I did not want this to become like, Chris Sims taking a shot at another Giants
no, we won't do that.
Listen,
no, we would never do that. It's okay.
No, Eli Manning is the greatest quarterback in Giants history. I realize that.
Really?
But for some reason we're stuck in this weird, world right now where we like to pay our athletes for what they have done, and then we can never admit when their career's over. Like, the year before Kobe Bryant retired, it's like he's still the best player in the NBA. It's him or LeBron, but yet he's going to retire and nobody wants him. Okay. So, again, Eli has done a lot of good things through his career, certainly had some clutch moments, but the last few years has been below average play. And I know they went to the playoffs 2 years ago, but even in that year, people are going to be confused by the fact that he played okay up in Green Bay because the receivers dropped the footballs because of the Miami boat trip and all that. But that was not a good year that year either. They were awesome defense, the best defense in football, and they had the best receiver in football and then maybe the best offensive weapon in Odell Beckham Jr. And, I think that's where we are at this point of Eli's career, and it doesn't make me proud to say it, but it's just where he is on my list.
So you think Eli's better than Tittle?
As the best quarterback in Giants history?
I think it's Tittle, it's Phil Sims, and Eli Manning, right? That's a discussion, I would say, somewhere in there.
I take your dad out and put in Hostetler, maybe.
Dude, God, you're dead when I see you, I'm telling you.
See you later, Sims. Good talking to you. Yes,
see you guys.
Thank you.
See you, Chris.
Wow, fireworks show. Shocking sound content. Get after it, New York tabloids. Resuscitate the newspaper industry with this story of the son of Phil Sims saying that Eli Manning is the 38th best quarterback in professional football. That's crazy.
Gettleman's going to be furious.
Oh, my God, that Gettleman. The general manager of the Giants. All right. What? Go ahead and sell me on Gettleman as replacing our McAdoo, replacing our Tom Sula. Sell me on the idea that the general manager of the Giants is our new guy in terms of the guy this show will make fun of.
All right. Well, I think Mike probably has some sounds. Just the name, the way he looks, there are so many, and just the things that come out of this man's mouth.
All right.
There are so many different directions to go
this is the new gas bag leader of the New York Giants.
We're going to work our fannies off, and we're going to get it fixed.
Yeah. All right. That's all I need. That's enough. Thank you. I don't need any more Gettleman sound in my life. That's enough. It's all handled. Everything that was wrong with the Giants. Don't worry, everybody. Gettleman's on it.
The bottom line is, you go to work.
Yeah.
You go to work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Gettleman.
We're going to work our fannies off.
I know you are. Those fannies are going to get worked right off. That's what I want from my leader of my football program. Worked off fannies. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Do you feel like you're being led right as a football team if there are worked off fannies involved?
Time for Dan to reluctantly take part in something that Stugatz couldn't be happy doing.
Careful, Gettleman. You got close to tuchus and butt and rear end. You got close. Instead, you went fannies. Is fannies the single least offensive thing that you can say on behalf of butt? Fannies would work on a children's show, would it not?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Gettleman, tough guy Gettleman.
We're going to work our fannies off and we're going to get it fixed.
Yes.
Don Lebatard.
Creepy as F.
Stugatz. I had a cat, Schmitty. He died.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Stugatz is legitimately upset here at Dick Vitale for an inconsistency in Dick Vitale's opinion. Dick Vitale one time hung up on our show before we were ever with ESPN.
Yeah.
Hung up on our show thinking that I was him. Stugatz was arguing on behalf of the University of Miami that things were going, that the NCAA could investigate a lot of places and find things like prostitutes, and Dick Vitale wasn't having any of it.
Every coach and every university has committed some sort of NCAA infraction at some point, and some get caught and some don't. And that's it.
Oh, that's being very generic. I think you're being unfair. And if they've committed an infraction, they're not bringing prostitutes.
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
Come on, now, you're being ridiculous now.
Dick.
I don't want to waste my time. Are you serious? I mean, you're saying every coach? That is not valid. Yeah, if a guy breaks a rule, nobody be on Miami's case if they broke a rule where they were on a phone with a kid an hour more than they were supposed to, or something else. Come on, I'm not going to waste my time, Dan. Forget it.
No,
Well, you said, you asked me the question.
he still thinks it's me, right? He still thinks it was me that upset him.
I sure hope so.
You laugh. Look at Stugatz. Emerging unscathed.
Yeah.
Yes, you laugh.
Sorry
yes.
about that, man.
Right. The problems you cause me that I have to deal with. I got summoned up to ESPN. I had to deal with this.
Did you really?
Listen to this. This is
know
part
that.
of the backstory. Well, this is a piece of it because we are the sacred cow attacking show by accident. You have this disagreement with Dick Vitale that spills over into this other larger problem that I had, and it's the single most embarrassing moment I've had on the air ever in the last 15 years. Lee Corso was on with us. It was the middle of the day. We had been doing some Gene Okerlund interviews where he just called us from the golf course and he'd be drinking in the middle of the afternoon. Mm-hmm. Lee Corso joined us in the afternoon, and I asked him if he'd had a drink because he was slurring, and I did not know at that point that he had a stroke. I was not aware of that, and so it sounded like I was doing shock jockey Howard Stern, disrespectful, mocking an illness. That's how it felt or sounded, and I understand. Yeah, well, no, I know that's not me exactly. But so I got called up to ESPN because they thought that we were going to be the renegade show that was always getting everybody mad, like Dick Vitale and Lee Corso, because we wouldn't respect things. And so what's ended up happening though is they're not the ones we're getting mad. The ones we're getting mad are below them. They don't have this mascot status. But every time we say something around here, somebody goes running to the talent office to complain about it.
It's amazing.
Like, it's unbelievable how sensitive this environment can be where we spend all our time in front of cameras criticizing others. And then when this show uses other shows for content, somebody goes running to the talent office to complain.
Now, it's great. Like, the hosts and the shows that kind of get it and are in on the joke, like, that's awesome. That's the way you should approach it. But you're right. It's the ones who don't, where it's a bit it's
Mike,
weird.
Well, what are we going to do, Mike? What are we going to do? Because we're beefing now. It feels like.
I want to be clear. I'm not beefing with Dick Vitale. I'm just pointing out how ridiculous it is for him to say what he said.
What's that word?
Ridiculous it is for him to say what he said to us, hang up on us, and then take pictures and have dinner with Rick Pitino at Prime 112 last night.
I know, but Stugatz, you're the king of inconsistency. Who's the king of inconsistency? You or Dick Vitale?
No, me. But I think people hold Dick Vitale to a higher standard. He's the voice of college basketball.
He's in bed with the coaches. We know this. Like, this is what happens when people climb to these media places. He's friends with Rick Pitino. Look, man, I've been arguing for years here about the idea that a lot of this stuff that we talk about here in sports and in society, that a lot of it doesn't reach you guys until it hits someone who's right next to you, someone in your family, someone you care about. Dick Vitale could think, because he's got a human relationship with Rick Pitino, that he's not a vampire, that he's not an NCAA rule-breaking vampire. He's just very close to Rick Pitino, and so he sees that Rick Pitino is not his worst public act. Rick Pitino is no one thing. He sees an entire human being, and he can't imagine that human being being in charge of a prostitution scandal. We have very partial information with these human beings. We like just lobbing at Pitino that he's a vampire, and we don't have any human connection to Rick Pitino.
Right, but I guess what? Again, I love Dick Vitale. He's the voice of college basketball.
No one has a real human connection with Rick Pitino because, as you said, he's very clearly a vampire.
That's right.
And I'm surprised Rick was at Prime 112 last night. I mean, that's not normally where he goes to feast.
They use a lot of garlic. Very dangerous.
A lot of garlic at Prime 112. Rick Pitino hanging out with Dick Vitale is bothering no one but you.
Oh, I'm not certain.
No one but you in the world.
I'm certain people.
In the entire world, no one is bothered by this.
But no one else was hung up on. Dick Vitale for me.
I was hung up on.
Well, I mean,
you weren't. What do you mean no one else was hung up on? No one other than me was hung up on.
Well, then you should be able to feel my frustration. I mean, don't you feel it?
Mike, what can we talk about with our feuds at ESPN? What are we allowed to talk about?
I don't want to feud with Dick Vitale. I just want an apology. That's all I want.
You're demanding a public apology of Dick Vitale.
Well, he hung up on me and you, and it was rude. And since he hung up on us, every coach, it seems like, is
involved in a prostitution scandal of some sort. Since the moment he hung up, there's been nothing but an outbreak of prostitution scandals.
For the other stuff that you're trying to get to, I've been told we can't talk about it. I'll answer your direct questions, but you're not going to trick me into volunteering stuff that I've been told not to talk about.
Okay, you've been told there's stuff there's not to talk about here. Okay.
But I am loyal to you, and I will answer a direct question.
That's fine. I'll talk to you about it off air. I'm just curious, like, Golic and Wingo, they love Stugotz. Stugotz fools around with Golic and Wingo, makes a few jokes. There's no problem with Golic and Wingo. Why would Golic and Wingo, who are, they're new, they're doing a new show in an uncomfortable space because they're new, why would they extend Stugotz a courtesy of being able to make fun of Golic and Wingo? And there are certain people at our network who are too sensitive to endure something like that. Like, when you're on television criticizing others, man.
That's the part, right?
Like, how can you be so sensitive?
Fire this coach, that coach stinks.
Fire this
that
guy, fire that guy. Don't say bad things about my opinion. I mean, honestly.
And by the way, we'll be in on it too. Like, if you want to make fun of us, have at it. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. You can say whatever you want about us.
Yes.
Anything.
Christ, look at Dan's face.
Look at it.
Go for it.
Anything. Say whatever you want. I'll never be hurt. And I will never complain to the talent office.
Don Le Batard.
A texter writes in, you would know the climate there with your weather balloon face.
Stugotz.
How's the racial weather up there, chubby?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Michigan State Athletic Director Mark Hollis has resigned following the Larry Nassar sentencing. Roger Federer defeated a retired Hyeon Chung to move on to the Australian Open final to face Marin Cilic. And finally, Elton John announced his retirement from touring following a lengthy farewell tour. The tour will take 3 years and will consist of at least 300 dates. Elton, while explaining his retirement in a statement, says, the priorities in my life have changed.
That's not retirement, though.
300 shows?
300 shows across 3 years at Elton John's age. That's a cash grab at the end.
Yes, it is.
What do you mean, the retirement tour?
Stugotz is strong in him.
He's anticipating his priorities changing 3 years from now.
He's going to do another one.
That's right. That's it. The priorities are going to change in 3 years when he decides to do another 300 days, 3 years, because everybody wants to see Elton John come to their city for the final time.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
We are going to open up the club here in 15 minutes, and also we should update some polls now at LeBatard Show is where you want to go. Mike Ryan, what can I say about the Jemele Hill stuff? People are curious. They're always curious about the ESPN stuff, and it appears, I don't know who's reporting this. Help me out on what cover for me
I saw it on Sports Illustrated, so you can put it on them. I haven't seen any sort of internal memos, therefore I haven't been told not to discuss it. So what's out there?
Okay, so we don't know the details on why Jemele is no longer doing the 6 o'clock Sports Center.
Oh,
nothing, no details. Nothing being reported.
I don't know any details personally. I'm sure maybe there's some people speculating, maybe some other people reporting. All I know is what's happened, which is what's been reported, which is she will be moving to the Undefeated. And doing more of a sort of ambiguous role in the network, and she won't be on the 6 anymore.
Before we update the polls, I will sort of give you some context to everything that's happening there.
I'm available at 6.
That's right. Yeah. For this Sports Jew show that you say you want to...
You know, it was a good idea by you. I've been getting a lot of texts from...
A good idea by me?
Well, by
whoever. Good idea by me. It was me looking at you and the wheels turning when you heard the Jemele Hill news.
Good idea
and seeing what was going on in your head. What do you mean a good idea? I'm not advocating for the Sports Jew.
Well, you know, Adam Schefter is. He's been sending me texts nonstop this morning. He wants in on this show. Schefter wants in. He wants me... Schefter is like, listen, me and you, let's do it. We'll do the 6. Let's go.
See, Schefter has the sense of humor we like around here. Not unlike all of you people are complaining to the talent office.
Just bring your complaints directly to us. We're big boys. We can take it. Taylor Twellman, you just tweeted at us. You hate us and our opinions. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Problem. We appreciate that.
That's good. Yes. A little in-house tension is good. So let's go ahead and update these polls. But I will tell you one little bit of information and then send the blogs on a scurry to find out who the person was. This is a thing that happened, and it's the source, it's the starting point of of how agitated I am by certain ESPN sensitivity issues with personalities.
Be careful, Dan. Persons.
Yes.
There are more than one that our show is feuding with, but the one that's the biggest and the most upsetting, and Tim Kirkshin's not even going to like me repeating this because he has dragged me off of this. I've been wanting to share this story for a while. And Tim Kirkshin has been like, he has been holding the chain on my arms. He's like, please, Dan, don't. But I was so offended on behalf of our beloved Tim Kirkshin, the most fundamentally decent person that we have around here of any kind. We did a looks like game with Tim Kirkshin, and he dared to laugh at a joke that was at the expense of a very sensitive ESPN personality. And when that person saw Tim Kirkshin in the hallway, that person refused to shake the extended hand of Tim Kirkshin in a way that enraged me because somebody took themselves so seriously that they could not take a joke, a very light joke at their expense.
I feel your anger now.
I mean,
we can all feel it, right?
No, but it's because Kirkshin is such a good human being,
and did nothing but
and
laugh at a joke that we provided.
All he did was laugh. Yeah. All he did was laugh. Man, I've been wanting to tell that story for so long. Smoke that person out. Person deserves whatever shame. Tim's going to be mad at me. Whatever shame comes with that. Anyways, let's update the polls at LeBatard Show.
Did you have Graham Gano being that athletic? 85% of the audience said no. Did Dietrich know? You might want to explain
Derek
that.
Dietrich is a player for the Marlins. I have said on the air that he is not a major leaguer. I met him the other day. I shook his hand. He was on a bicycle on the beach. I looked into the lagoon that is his eyes, and I could not recognize whether he knew that I said he was not a major leaguer.
His calves really pop.
I'm surprised you noticed his eyes, to be honest with you.
Right. There's so much
dreamy.
there.
It was dreamy. It was layer after layer of lagoon paradise.
And it was suns out, guns out, skies out, thighs out.
That's right. So beautiful.
Does Chipper Jones have a baseball face?
He does.
90% of the audience said yes, he does. He really does. It's him or Steve Garvey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Has anyone ever looked better in a baseball uniform than Giancarlo Stanton? Mike says Ron Gant.
Of course.
72% of the audience said no.
I mean, 72% of the audience needs to stop paying attention to just the top half Okay? It's like you guys in the NBA, you only pay attention to offense.
That's right. You're right.
You're only paying attention
Ron
to one
Gant,
side of the
you're
ball.
right. Ron Gant, Mike's right about this. Ron Gant's lower half, the nether regions were strong.
Oh, no doubt about it. But here's what Gant did that Stanton never did, I don't think. Gant wore really, extra small uniforms
that's
to
what he
show
did.
it off.
That's the thing. Yes. Ron Gant was wearing all the extra schmediums. He was. Super tight.
What was the height of Ron Gant?
Ooh, this is an important question.
Reds, Braves, or 6 feet?
Let's go Reds pinstripe.
It's got to be Braves. It's got to be
Red
Braves.
pinstripe.
50% of the audience said 6 feet.
Oh, for the love of God. The height of Ron Gant was 6 feet tall.
So equal 25% on the Reds and Braves?
Yeah. Well, no.
Split. Who was it more Reds?
The Braves got 36%.
Braves Ron Gant was the height of Ron Gant. Such big arms. He had arms that were thighs.
If Chipper had gone by Larry, would he have ever gotten signed?
No.
83% of the audience agreed and said no.
Larry Jones stinks as a baseball player.
Chipper greatest ever, though.
I can't trust Larry Jones. Larry Jones is coming up to play. That's going to end in failure.
Larry Jones is a tomato can that's fighting third bottom from the card.
That's right. I can't. You cannot. You can throw whatever you want past Larry Jones. Seriously. Just go heater down the middle against Larry.
But Chipper,
don't do that. Don't do that to Chipper.
Is calling Lawrence Fishburne Larry a fireable offense that should end Roy's career on this show?
That happened earlier today. He called Lawrence Fishburne Larry.
67% of the audience thinks Roy should be fired.
Yeah, I agree. Who the hell calls Lawrence Fishburne Larry? It's the worst moment in show history.
Thinking back to when we were ranking the greatest Larrys of all time.
Hey, listen. His mama call him Larry. I'm going to call him Larry.
His mama did not call him Larry.
His mama did call him Larry.
Nobody calls him Larry.
His mama called him Larry.
That's not true. I don't believe it.
Did you know that you could buy a blue dog?
Oh, my God. That's right. Benito Santiago. That was today. That was earlier today. We were talking about my first introduction to sports wealth was walking up to the locker of Benito Santiago and seeing him open it up to a catalog and tell me in Spanish that he was about to buy a blue dog.
77% of the audience said no.
What catalog is
I don't know.
Weird.
I don't know.
Weird.
Like a Sharper Image catalog for blue dogs. It's crazy.
Was Vince McMahon's XFL announcement brilliant or disappointing? Mike thought it was brilliant. We thought it was disappointing. 72% of the audience said disappointing.
Mike, I don't
get what you're doing.
The Sharpay image.
That's a good joke. That's a good joke.
Give it to him. No, it's not loud enough, though.
I know.
A little more forceful,
it didn't deserve a big Hakeem Nicks laugh.
Is this a flying saucer of BS?
This whole thing is a flying saucer of BS. And you know what's the greatest thing about it? Stugatz is right about it, too. He's in the lead seat. He's in the driver's seat on this flying saucer of BS.
Thankful for it. 90% of the audience said yes. Are Golic and Wingo on the rocks? 80% of the audience said yes.
It sounded like it.
It really did. Do you feel like you are being led right as a football team if there are worked-off fannies involved?
This Gettleman.
52% of the audience said yes.
We're going to work our fannies off and we're going to get it fixed.
Well, I feel better about it already. How about you guys? I mean, if Gettleman's on the case and he's going to work his fanny off and he's going to get it fixed, do we even need to have standings and records anymore? Like, just Gettleman's on it. Do you have any more Gettleman sound, Mike? Is there more? Stugatz is convinced that Gettleman needs to be our next nemesis.
He's our guy.
He's our guy.
The bottom line is, you go to work. You go to work.
Yeah, thank you. Repeat it again. It's so wise. I need to hear it twice.
The bottom line is, you go to work. You go to work.
I didn't need to hear it 4 times. I was telling Gettleman that I thank him for sharing his original wisdom with us and then making it so profound that he said the second time, you go to work.
Go to work.
Thank you, Gettleman. You don't have any more Gettleman sound?
Do we have anything with him saying that the head coach of the Giants needs to be a man? An adult?
An adult.
Yeah,
not a man. Not a man. No, not a man.
An adult.
No, Gettleman knows better than that in these modern times.
Yes.
It does not have to be a man. It could be a woman, but it has to be a grown woman. It has to be, according to Gettleman, an adult.
I'm looking for intelligence. I'm looking for vision. I'm looking for leadership.
All right. Thank you, Gettleman.
He settled on Pat Shurmur.
Well, he said, here's the quote.
I was looking for those things.
Yes.
It goes unstated as I couldn't find any of them, and so and Pat walked into my office, and I'm like, all right, yeah, we're going to work our fannies off to get that fixed.
The quote courtesy of Paul Schwartz is, I really believe the head coach job for the New York Football Giants is a job for an adult. Pat's every bit of that.
Oh!
Yeah, Gettleman is a guy that calls it New York Football Giants.
New York Football Giants. Oh, I am so happy that the Giants finally have a coach who is more adult than the rest of the coaches in the NFL. They have replaced a dolt with an adult.
Hey-o!
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's better than Sharpay.
Good one.
It really is.
It got a slightly louder Hakeem Nicks laugh, too. Right. It deserved it. Yeah.
You're a writer.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Used to be.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPNU.